In 1968, a young working-class Liverpool housewife called Chrissie Marr began a revolution that is still shaking our world today. She demanded that people like her should be listened to and not ignored just because they were poor and sometimes illiterate. But first, she had to arouse her own community and get them angry enough about the injustices and poverty that were part of their lives, something she was only too well aware of herself.
Life can be very difficult when there isn't any money. You know, you've got to start looking further afield. I used to push my kids to every park that surrounded Tobruk, maybe 7-8 miles a day. And, you know, we'd bring some butties and a glass of lemonade, and we'd come all the way back. And that's how you had to entertain the kids by. They learnt a lot, picking up leaves, flowers, naming flowers, grasses, trees, what we were passing, what sort of cars. Sort of like an education. And, you know, I hadn't had an education. I didn't learn to read and write, you know, till I was 14. But yeah, life was pretty difficult.
We didn't have any central heating. If you were lucky enough to have, you know, something to go on your coal fire, then it was coal. You know, quite often we went to the wood yard round the corner and we waited outside as kids with sad faces with our sacks and hoped they'd fill them full of the oddments and the scraps. And we'd go back and we'd play with the oddments and the scraps of these pieces of wood before they got locked on the fire. We looked around to see if there was anything like old chairs. You literally were looking at your furniture sometimes just to get you through some nights in the winter.
You had to be frugal with the coal for the coal fire because there just wasn't any. So you'd put tin cans on the fire to try and keep the warmth going when the coal's running out near the end of the pay week, you know, coming towards a Wednesday night, Wednesday daytime, you'd be hunting around the streets looking for tin cans and things that you could put on the fire just to get a little bit of heat out of the fire and make the coal last.
We only had the tin bath once a week, like most kids, all in a queue, Sunday night, if you were lucky to get in first. Sometimes we were looking for things to eat. You know, this was sort of living from day to day, week to week, till the wages come in, to see if you had enough money to go around. I remember sometimes we were lucky enough to have a portion of chips. I think there was something like 5D when I was younger, and we'd all sit round and have chip butties, and that one portion of chips went round maybe 10 people. A lot of kids in one room. You were lucky if you had the 2 bedrooms, and you know, we maybe had 5 or 6 kids in one double bed. As the song goes from In My Liverpool City, you had the overcoats over you to keep you warm.
We were living in appalling living conditions, and whereas most of us would have sat down and said, well, what can you do? You know, pick up a bottle of water and you can see creatures. This is drinking water out your tap. You could see creatures moving around in it. And the majority of people would go, oh, it's awful, isn't it? You know, I have to boil a kettle, make sure I kill them all off, and then drink it. Well, Chrissie wouldn't. Chrissie would go, look at that. And she went into the council, look at that, I'm supposed to drink that, you know. And we all followed her because we knew she was right.
There was rats running everywhere. And I got a couple of the men, God love them, they clubbed the rats and put them in a bag. We had about half a dozen rats. And I said, that's it, I'm going to do a rat march. And everybody fell about laughing. They thought it was a huge joke, you know. Oh, come on, Chrissie, you know, you don't do a rat march. I'm going from here to the town hall. For me to walk as a kid, that's all I did all day. For me to walk all the way to the town hall was nothing. I'm going to get them rats on my back and I'm going to show them councillors. So they all said that we didn't have any rats.
And the next thing, she took a dead rat and took it went into the council, and they'd given a quote to the Echo saying the rat problem had been dealt with. We didn't have rats. They're running on amongst us. So she got a dead rat and marched into the council and slapped it on this chap's desk and said, that's one of the rats we haven't got.
Ah, there was chaos. You know, everybody's running around with all kinds of sprays and everything, you know. Ooh, terrible, got a rat. We soon got the tip shifted, you know. And that's the sort of thing when you think enough is enough.
I think I was only quite young, but what I remember is a renewed hope from people and an enthusiasm. They had, you know, everybody had something that they wanted to tell, a story they wanted to tell, or even things they wanted to celebrate that was going on in the community. And when they realised that there was somebody there who actually, well, they all thought Chrissie knew what she was doing. Of course, we were all just learning how to do these things, but someone was giving them a ray of hope that they didn't have to live in these conditions, and the things that were going on around them, they could do something about.
There was news of a community group was going to be set up. There was just sort of whispers about it. And everyone was thinking, well, what's this about? There was a sign in the local shop, Eileen's, and it was saying, you know, would people like to join in together and form a community group? I'm standing there reading this sign. And then suddenly this whirlwind came in behind me, and it was Chrissy Marr. Of course, I didn't know it at this time. And I'm reading the sign, and this voice behind me says, "You'll join, won't you, love? Come on, you'll join in. You come round to our house, Pringle Street, number 36. You'll join us, won't you?" And it was Chrissy. It was like this whirlwind had come into my life.